This story begins almost 50,000 years ago. A new group of hominins arrived in Europe. The climate was harsh and they had to share the land with Neanderthals, who already were successful in harsh conditions of Europe during the last ice age. Not only these newcomers were successful to survive in these conditions, they were able to establish their clear supremacy, and within the next 10,000 years, they remained the only hominins in Europe. They were Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens first came into Europe from Southwest Asia, where they already had established a culture called Bohunicians. Neanderthals during this time already were living in Europe and had established tool industry like Mousterian tools, but Homo sapiens were far more innovative and adaptive than the Neanderthals. They developed an even more efficient tool industry, which consisted mainly of blade-like tools. Blades were versatile and could easily be turned into many other tools by retouching. The toolsmith made these blank blades in bulk and then retouched them into various other tools such as back blades, burins, scrapers, or even needles as per the demand. This novel blade technology sort of acted like an all-in-one Swiss knife kind of a thing. The new tools also made it possible to tailor clothes, which was a far more efficient way to cover oneself compared to just wrapping around animal hides like Neanderthals possibly did. This proved handy in harsh winter conditions of the Ice Age. Homo sapiens also likely could communicate with each other in much better way and could also share complex ideas. This pushed the evolution of cognitive capabilities of man even further, and as a result we see Homo sapiens making complex symbolisms such as arts, crafts to convey beliefs and ideas. Around 40,000 years before present, the population of Neanderthals had dwindled down alarmingly, and the Homo sapiens now the only dominant species of hominins left in Europe. But what exactly happened to Neanderthals? The scholars are not in perfect agreement here. Some believe that Homo sapiens wiped them out in territorial violence with their new and advanced weaponry. Such mass elimination of Neanderthals at the hands of Homo sapiens is, however, debated by new scholars. Some say that the Homo sapien population and Neanderthals intermixed. Indeed, today, around 1 to 4% of DNA of Europeans comes from Neanderthals. Their genes gave us a much better chance of survival in the frigid cold climatic conditions, as they were already living there for a long time. It is possible that due to harsh environmental conditions, their number were already dwindling and Homo sapiens merely filled this gap. But regardless, the Upper Paleolithic is the time where the age of dominance of Homo sapiens begins. And Europe is where perhaps the history of Upper Paleolithic is best recorded and documented. The Proto-Aurignacian people. First Homo sapiens who migrated from Southwest Asia are called the Proto-Aurignacians. Their tools and culture resembles the one found in Southwest Asia, which is called the Bohunician culture. They moved into the Europe through the Balkans. Soon after their arrival in Europe, a massive volcanic eruption happened in the area of Naples. Huge ash plumes descended over a large area across Eastern Mediterranean, across Balkans, and into the Eastern Europe. This eruption is known as Campanian explosion. It caused a volcanic winter to follow. The harsh cold conditions that followed caused the life of Homo sapiens to change rapidly. Food shortages and harsh cold made communication between different human groups a necessity for survival. This is the time when technological innovations really flourished, and we see that in the revolutionary shift in making multi-purpose blades. The Aurignacians and Gravettians. This time saw the rise of Aurignacian and Gravettian cultures. After 39,000 years before present, Aurignacians flourished across Europe for almost 10,000 years. Their tools were made of blades, thick scraping tools, and knives. The new stone tool technology also enabled Homo sapiens to efficiently carve out tools out of other materials such as antlers, bones, etc. Also important to note that the tools made of bones and antlers along with the stone tools are a hallmark of Upper Paleolithic industry. The Gravitians were contemporaries of Aurignacians and later became the dominant culture after 30,000 years before present. Their tools had a characteristic backed knife. After Gravitians, there arose many regional traditions and variations, out of which the Solutreans are noteworthy for their skill with working with flint. They treated the flint with heat to make its texture porcelain-like and fashioned beautiful leaf-shaped spear points with it. Around 18,000 years before present, a culture called Magdalenian emerged in the Western Europe. Magdalenians relied heavily on antlers and bones for tool making. Magdalenians are also known for the spectacular art they produce. So how was the life in Upper Paleolithic era as a hunter-gatherer in Europe? The last ice age saw two periods of comparatively moderate temperatures. First from 30,000 to 22,000 years before present, and again after 20,000 years before present after the glacial maximum. The hunter-gatherer society flourished during these periods of temperate climate. Diversity of food resources increased. People hunted reindeer, wild dogs, red deer, bison, ibex, woolly rhinos and mammoths. Availability of resources also became predictable. And this knowledge brought a certain stability to the lifestyle, and this is why in Europe certain areas seem to be occupied quite frequently. One such site is rock shelters at Logerie Haute and Logerie Basse in Dordogne. They also erected tents and used animal hides as curtains inside the rock shelters for additional protection. In France, there were many large sites which were close to areas which offered seasonally abundant resources. Such areas were gathering points where different bands came together and stayed together for some period of the year. La Madeleine is one such site. The days or weeks that these bands would spend together must have been a high point of the social activity. These sites could have been where marriages, initiation ceremonies, high-intensity rituals would have taken place. Such practices can be seen in today's hunter-gatherer societies as well. These large sites contain an abundance of objects of art and craft, along with many exotic objects such as seashells, amber, etc., which might have been exchanged here. The Upper Paleolithic was also the time when we see art flourished. Between 48,000 and 30,000 years before present, Europeans started making ornaments out of beads, pendants, and perforated animal teeth, etc. Around 30,000 years before present, they started painting on the walls of a cave. Subject of these paintings were animals, different signs, and anthropomorphic figures. Examples of such cave art is found in places such as Grotte de Chauvet in France and Altamira caves in Spain. By 25,000 years before present, we see that making art became a worldwide phenomenon. Examples of such art outside Europe are Apollo 11 caves in South Africa and Bhimbetka caves in India. Apart from painting, Upper Paleolithic people made art in bones, stone, antlers, clay, ivory, and maybe in perishable material like wood and skin, etc. Female figurines which showed exaggerated bodily features but lack of facial features are a common find across Europe. These are known as Venus figurines. They have been found from Russia in the east till France in the west. However, the purpose of making these figurines is not clear. The Magdalenian culture is well renowned for the quantity as well as quality of the art that they produced.